Anthurium collab video. Let's go! Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new, my name is Roos, my pronouns are she, her. I am a plant lover from the Netherlands, and I'm not gonna be the only one that's showing you plants in this video because it is time for another collaboration. I'm super excited. I actually asked some amazing planty people to show you their favorite Anthuriums, give you their #1 care tip for Anthuriums, and I will be at the end also showing you mine. At the beginning of each clip, I have put everyone's Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok channels, and I will also link them down below if you want to check them out, because some of these people are actually huge on TikTok and some have never ever filmed themselves before. I love inviting people of different levels of experience, but also skin color and gender and just diversity all around. The one thing we have in common is that we love Anthuriums. Let's get started.
Hi, hello, Rose's plant fam. I'm Marina, that one girl that likes to talk a lot about houseplants. It's a little excessive, but it's okay. And you can find me on my channel, Millennial Planter. I'm also on Instagram, TikTok, really all the platforms. First off, thank you so much, Rose, for having me on your channel again. You're amazing, and just for that, you guys should give the video a thumbs up. Just a little reminder. But on to some Anthurium. So the first Anthurium I've had for about a year. I raised it as a seedling. I'm not really sure if what name I have is correct, but it is Anthurium Baccheri. This is honestly probably one of the easiest Anthurium I have. I underwater it. It gets super low humidity and it gets okay light. It taught me so much because it self-pollinated on its own, and now all of a sudden I have dived into the world of Anthurium pollination, which I definitely was not ready for. One day I went to water it and I saw that it had berries. I don't know how I missed the berries, but it was just a little flower. Actually, you can see how little it is right there. This is a new flower, but that was the little flower that it gave me, and it had berries, and it was just crazy. And so I found myself over the next, I don't know, 12, 14 hours researching Anthurium pollination, as one does. And now those berries, I got seeds, and from those seeds I got seedlings. I was able to share the seedlings, and now I have some that I raised from seeds, and I just think that's really dope. And I don't know, it kind of makes me want to like pat myself on the back, because wow, I really did that. Self-doubt is my special talent, if you couldn't tell. But Anthurium Baccheri is just truly a really cool Anthurium, and not one that I really ever hear about. I don't really think people like it that much. It's not really that trendy, but I love it. So yeah, there we go. Little cutie for you. Oh, who's also flowering twice. So I showed you that little one, and it clearly has this huge inflorescence here. I like to call it my mutant Anthurium because clearly it just likes to reproduce. It's really weird. Can't relate. Now we're gonna flip to the other side and do a really common Anthurium, but for good reasons, you know, like common plants. It's just because they're so easy, so beautiful. Everybody loves them, and that is Anthurium crystallinum. And can you see why this one would be my favorite? I mean, look at this leaf. This is the first leaf it's put out in my care, and it is massive, absolutely massive. I do have to say the person that I got it from took really good care of it, so it was able to put out this huge leaf. But wow, oh wow, I was shocked when I just watched this leaf grow. I mean, you know, Anthurium leaves start off so small, and then now it's this massive thing. It's so impressive. It has these really cute pink edges, and this is the previous leaf. It had a whole bunch of leaves, but the leaves didn't really acclimate that well to my house. As you can see, they look kind of deflated, almost thirsty, but it's not, and it's still getting really good humidity. So I chopped a bunch of the leaves off, not gonna lie. But now we have these two leaves, and this one is just so beautiful. I'm truly obsessed with it. Oh, look at those veins. Oh, heart-shaped leaves, they get me every time. And the backing is just as beautiful. Look at that. Oh, she's so pretty. You're so pretty. So that wraps it up for my two favorite Anthurium. Thank you so much, Rose, for having me on your channel again, and I will see you all on my channel soon. Come say hi. Okay, have a good day. Bye.
Hello, my name is Benji, and my YouTube channel is Benji Plant, and same with my Instagram and TikTok. and I am very grateful that Rose asked me to be in this video about Anthurium. I would say that I'm still kind of an Anthurium noob compared to a lot of other people, because people who are into Anthuriums are like really into Anthuriums, and I'm just like passively into them, I think. So my favorite Anthurium, well, I chose two because one would be difficult for me to choose because I like these Anthurium for different reasons. So the first one is my Anthurium pendens. As you can see, it is quite long. I don't even know if you can see the whole thing in the frame, but I have it hanging from a Vanda basket, which is a wood orchid pot, and I suspended it with this bonsai wire, and I have it hanging like this near my curtain, and it's very pretty. Yeah, it's growing very well for me. It's also easy to take care of, which I was surprised about when I first started getting into Anthuriums, because I always thought that they would be really tough, but in my experience, certain ones are pretty easy. Okay, so my next favorite one is my Anthurium Clarinervium, and it might just be because it's in this very cool pot, but this one has given me zero troubles at all. And what's also really nice about this plant, or this Anthurium, is that the older leaves don't tend to crisp up and die like some of my other Anthuriums, like my red crystallinum and Orquianum and Regal. Those tend to lose their older leaves, but the Anthurium Clarinervium seems to be very hardy, and there's like almost no crisping at all. Yeah, and I also really love the texture of the leaf and the color and the shape. Can you hear that? It's like kind of cardboardy, which is something you don't get in other aeroids like Monstera and Philodendron. Okay, so I live in Los Angeles, California, where we have really good weather. The only thing is that it isn't super humid. It gets kind of hot sometimes, and I leave the window open for most of the day because the weather's like pretty good and I can let the breeze in, but that reduces my humidity by a good amount. So right now my humidity goes from like 30 to 50% throughout the day, and my temperatures kind of go from like 70 to 80, and then at that point I turn on the AC. But yeah, I think my biggest tip in my conditions would be to make sure that the Anthurium doesn't dry out completely. So I always make sure that the soil doesn't become completely bone dry, but I do let it approach dryness, if that makes sense. Like, I never allow the soil or the substrate to be completely dry, because that, I've noticed, tends to make the new leaves come out deformed, and it also makes the older leaves die and brown up. So yeah, that's my biggest tip, is to make sure that you do not let the substrate dry out completely, especially if you have a new leaf forming, because if you don't keep the substrate moist, the new leaf will come out smaller than it could potentially be. Yeah, okay, that's it. Thank you for having me, and yeah, okay, on to the next person.
Hi guys, it's Katya here, also known as Ransonia on Instagram and YouTube. First of all, I want to thank Roos for inviting me to this awesome Anthurium collaboration, because I do love me some good Anthuriums. On YouTube, I like to make informative content, so basically explaining everything about plant care, pollination, seeds, roots, microbes, you name it, we have everything. So today I'm gonna show you two of the Anthuriums that I'm currently obsessing about. Anthurium Orquianum, also known as the Queen Anthurium, is one of the statement pieces you can get as an Anthurium collector, and I just love them so much that I have three. So what I really like about this species is how diverse it is. If you like big lobes, if you like thick leaves, if you like thick venation, you can like minimal venation, slightly darker specimens, greener specimens, you name it. The queen has it all for you. You just gotta find the right one. I particularly enjoyed this one because it's very thick. The veins are also very prominent and it has those cute little lobes which I just adore. And she has pushed this gigantic leaf, which is also a big reason why I enjoy her so much. And then the second plant is Anthurium Blacki. This was my #1 wishlist plant that I thought I wouldn't own for quite a long time. She is beautiful, gorgeous. A little close-up of the leaves. She has extremely dark leaves and the venation is absolutely beautiful. I adore the sinus on this one, and she's been growing up relatively quickly. We did have a little setback because she has some root rot, but we're dealing with it. Hopefully she's gonna be fine. These are still relatively hard to find in Europe as they are primarily imported and not actively bred. I have planned for her that once she grows up I'm gonna pollinate and make a lot of Carla babies, because who does not want that? And now for the plant advice that I was asked to share. I just want to say that the plant is an open book, and if you know what to look at, it will tell you what is wrong. So if you have a plant that has bleached leaf, chlorotic leaves, it mostly means it has too much light. If the plant is thirsty, the leaves will kind of be soft and squishy and the veins will pop out more. If it's underwatered for longer periods of time, you can start getting dry tips as well. Is your plant overwatered? The plant will be releasing some of that extra water via vegetation, or it's gonna get edema on the back of the leaves. Does it have any fertilizing deficiencies? You can look for some of the common signs that you see on the leaves. Sometimes the older leaves will turn yellow and die. Sometimes the yellow will creep in between the veins. It's really a broad spectrum of that, but if you know that it's somewhere in the nutrition issue, you can then track it down. Does your plant have pests? Take it out from wherever you keep it. Put it out in the sunshine, get some of the magnifying glass if you can, and just look at it. Be sure to look hard just so you can see all of those little pests that can be hiding pretty much anywhere, because they are quite exceptionally good at that. Has your plant slowed with new growth? Is it growing smaller leaves? It's probably root bound. What I'm trying to say with all these examples is what the plant is lacking, it's showing somewhere. It may be hard to recognize these signs at the beginning, but once you do, they really are an open book. I'm really excited to see what will the others pick for their favorite Anthuriums. It really differs for me every month, if not every week. Thank you, Roos, once again for having me, and I'll see you next time. Bye!
Hi, my name is Samuel. I'm on Instagram as HoyaHole. Thank you, Roos, for inviting me to another one of your collaborations. I'm so excited today to talk about my favorite Anthuriums. I basically started off collecting Anthuriums and philodendrons. The very first plants that I was super excited to grow were an Anthurium pendulifolium that I won on an eBay auction, and an Anthurium forgetii that I got from NSC Tropicals. When I got those, I had no idea much of anything about Anthuriums. My best advice for Anthuriums is to start slow. Get an Anthurium that you can afford. Don't start with $1,000 Anthurium. Get something that has good roots, a crystallinum, a forgetii, something that's beautiful that you'll be excited about to watch grow, and start to learn about it. Once you have some success with your first one, get a few different ones and learn about what works for you and your environment. Don't let anybody tell you that there's only one substrate that's gonna work. In here, the humidity is ridiculously high, of course, but I have Anthuriums upstairs in my living room. It just happens that the ones that I really wanted to show you guys are in here. I'm gonna attempt to take some of these down. The first one that I'd like to show is this Anthurium Blacki. I've been growing this Anthurium for a little over 2 years. And a lot of people think that it looks very much like a crystallinum, but I do find that the veining is more understated in the Blacki. And one of the most striking features of it is that the inflorescence comes out a bright white color, and then as it matures and starts to produce fruit, the spathe turns to a green color and it actually photosynthesizes, which isn't the case for every Anthurium. But the main distinctive feature on the Carla Blackier is that it has these really ribbed petioles. Just a really striking plant. It sort of has this pillowy texture to it. You can decide how you feel about it, but it is absolutely one of my favorites. I do have a couple other ones right here. You can see that these ones have a little bit more complex veining on them, even at this size. And I have seen quite a bit of variation. Look for those ridged petioles if you're ever in the market for one of these, because that is a really distinctive feature. All right, so this is the second Anthurium that I'd like to show. This is a plant that I imported 2 years ago from Indonesia, and I believe that it's some sort of Anthurium papillolaminum hybrid, but a lot of the hybrids that come out of Indonesia or a lot of places, a lot of sellers don't necessarily know exactly what the Anthurium is. So this isn't one of those examples. When it hardens off, they definitely get a bit darker and have this pink sinus to it. The inflorescences look a lot like a papillolaminum inflorescence, so I do think that it likely has some papillolaminum in it. And the last plant that I'd like to show is another hybrid from Indonesia. This one is known as Anthurium dark phoenix, and I've seen people refer to it both as a papillolaminum variety, but I think that it's thought to be a hybrid. As you can see, it has super pronounced lobes, this kind of understated veining, and each Anthurium that I've showed actually is rooted in something different. So this one is in pond, the Carla was in an organic mix, and then the No ID is in moss. Thank you so much, Roos, for having me in this Anthurium collaboration. I'm so excited to see everybody else's favorite Anthuriums and hear what works for you.
Hey everyone, my name is Megan. I'm located in Charlotte, North Carolina, and you can find me at Meg Rose Plants on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Rose invited me to share with you my favorite Anthurium right now, so I have two because I can't decide. The first one is this beautiful Anthurium magnificum, and I'm really digging this one right now for a couple of reasons. One, because it's beautiful. Two, because it's putting out this really gorgeous leaf. So one of the cool things about Anthurium magnificum is when the new leaves come in, there's this really pretty bronze color, and then they harden off to this dark green velvety color with this light green veining. I just think it's gorgeous. And then it's also flowering right now. So this is its inflorescence, and I just pollinated this with pollen from my Anthurium forgetii. So I'm really excited about that, and hopefully it took. Cross your fingers. And hopefully it took, and I'll get some hybrid seeds out of it. And another cool thing that I really love about Anthurium magnificum is the quadrupediole. So that means it has a petiole with 4 sides, so it's kind of a square looking petiole, which I just think is really weird and really cool. And the second one I want to show you is this lovely Anthurium magnificum hybrid. So I bought this as a hybrid. I have no idea what it's crossed with, but I bought it as a tiny seedling, and as it's grown and gotten bigger leaves, I've noticed some really unique characteristics with it. So one being the leaf shape. It's very long, and it doesn't have the typical rounded heart-shaped leaves that a regular magnificum may have. And it also has a really bumpy texture to it, almost like Anthurium luxurians. So it could be crossed with luxurians or something that contains luxurians, I don't know. And along with the bolete texture, the leaves just have this very gorgeous velvety metallic sheen to them. I just love it so much. And it has a new leaf coming in, so I'm really excited about that one. But yeah, I think that this is just shaping up to be a really unique Anthurium, and it's definitely one of my favorites right now. My biggest piece of advice for growing Anthurium, and this may vary depending on where you live, but I always try to mimic their natural environment as best as I can. And Anthurium are epiphytes, meaning that they grow up trees. So I always try to make sure that there is a lot of bark, pieces and charcoal pieces in the soil mix, and that seems to keep them happy, and also make sure that the soil mix is just very well draining. And that's all. Thanks for having me, Rose.
Hey guys, my name's Danny. I'm from Melbourne, Australia. I grow mainly Anthuriums in this room, and Rose has asked me to show you a couple of my favourite Anthuriums today. Hope you enjoy. Alright guys, so the first one that we have is this Anthurium luxurians crystallinum hybrid. It's a very dark bullite hybrid. Has this like really nice blue tinge to it as well. Red sinus. Petioles are really ridged due to the parentage of the luxurians. Yeah, very slow grower. One of my all-time favorites in the collection. How I like to grow them in these pots is just pop a lot of perlite, a lot of vermiculite, orchid bark. I put a little bit of perlite on the bottom as well, just to keep the humidity up. And yeah, really good one to grow. My second favourite Anthurium in the collection is this Anthurium Hoffmanni X. Hoffmanni X is just a placeholder name for it currently until it gets renamed by the ASA. That's the Aroid Society of Australia. Yeah, it's a very easy grower. It roots really easily. You can chop it up as many times as you want and it will just continuously pup. It grows pretty slowly, a lot slower than the luxurians crystallinum, but is definitely worth it. Alright guys, and the last Anthurium that I want to show you today is this Anthurium silver blush. It has stunning veins. Just look at all that silver on the leaf. Very easy grower, pups continuously. This one is so easy to grow, and it's an Anthurium that you should all have in your collection. Another tip for growing Anthuriums in a room that's carpeted is make sure you clean the room every day. The mix that I use for the Anthuriums is pretty much just orchid bark and perlite. Tiny bit of charcoal, but that's it. I don't add anything special. The humidity in this room, I keep it at around 80%, 85%. There's around 5 humidifiers, I think. No, there's 5 humidifiers in this room. Yeah, and that's it. Keep the temperatures controlled and you'll be right to go. I hope you guys enjoyed my top 3 favourite Anthuriums. Can't wait to see what everyone else has to show. Thanks Rose for letting me show my Anthuriums.
Hi, I'm Lindsay with all the plant babies on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. For those of you that don't know me, I am a huge super fan of Anthuriums. I think that they are some of the most beautiful plants that you can grow inside of your home.
I mean, how lucky am I to be able to wake up in the morning to see so many Anthuriums, magical plants in my home. And 2 of my favorite Anthuriums right now are Anthurium marmoratum on the left, and of course everyone's favorite, the queen, Warocqueanum, who is producing an inflow right now. I hope the pollen took. Marmoratum is incredible because the emergent leaves are almost paper thin, and the color has now already changed to a green, but before this it was a yellowy brown, and it's just absolutely incredible in texture. And this is the potential to what a Warocqueanum can grow to. I've had this for about 4 years now, and it's just beautiful.
But if I had to pick my most favorite Anthurium at the moment, it would definitely be my latest hybrid with my friend Amanda, aka Bunny on Instagram. And that is Anthurium red crystallinum luxurians. Look how dark and bullate this leaf is. It's absolutely incredible. And this is the back of the leaf. And this is a fully hardened leaf growing in low light. So that's one really nice tip that I can provide you with for growing your Anthuriums. You have the power to change the course of your Anthurium's life and how it grows using light. If you would like your Anthurium to flower so that you can breed it and pollinate it and produce baby anthuriums, give it a lot of light. These plants in particular, I want to make babies with. That's why you see all of these inflorescences. Here's 1, here's 2, here's 3. So I am blasting them with Soltech Solution grow lights. However, if you would like your anthuriums to look extra dark and moody, you do not want to blast them with light. You want to grow them in a dark, dark place with very minimal light. Just enough light so that they will continue to be happy and grow, like this one. It grows at a very slow pace, but look how gorgeous it is. So it's a sacrifice you have to make, flowers or dark foliage. It's a tough choice, but life is filled with tough choices. Thank you for watching. Let me know if you have any questions.
Hi guys, my name is Kuba. I am from Poland. I am huge Anthurium lover. You can find me on Instagram where I go by the name of, sorry but I won't even try to pronounce this. I hope Roos will add the name down below on the screen for you guys. It is pleasure and it is joy to enjoy this collaboration. I hope you'll enjoy watching my plants. Thank you so much, Roos, once again for having me, and let's show you some cool plants. So a few days ago, Roos just asked me if I want to share my favorite Anthurium of right now with you guys, and I couldn't just pick one plant, so I prepared 2 plants for you. And the first plant is the Anthurium luxurians. As you can see, it is growing in Lechuzapan. It is thriving in it. It is in bloom right now, and I'll do my best to hybridize it with some cool Anthurium. I don't even know which one yet, but we will see. It is normally growing on a windowsill, west-facing window. I don't even use any extra grow lights or humidifier. The humidity stays above 60% even in the winter time, so I think that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's cool. Grows really fast and it's so satisfying watching it getting bigger. I recommend it to everyone. It is not the cheapest plant I've ever seen, but it is worth it. And the second plant that is so special to me is the Anthurium splendidum. This is not as easy to take care of as the previous one, but before I even start talking about this plant, let me show you up close, because look at those corrugated leaves. Ugh, look at the backside. It looks like lettuce because of the veining on this leaf. Yeah, like I told you, it is not as easy as the luxurians because it really requires 100% of humidity, and for me the only way to keep it alive is under the dome. There is only one thing I did to make this one happy. I just bought the glass cloche because the amount of people telling me not to buy this one because I will regret it was huge. But it turned out to be a good decision actually. It is thriving. It is growing in Leka. Since the import, it has put out 2 new leaves, this one and this one, and it hasn't even lost any of the older ones, so I think it's great. Grows under the grow light, but not in the direct light. It doesn't like much light in my opinion. And funny thing, this plant this is actually the main reason why I've decided to build a plant terrarium with the fog, living moss and all of that funny stuff, just like Roos did a few weeks ago. That's it for my favorite Anthuriums of right now. I hope you enjoyed watching my plants. Thank you so much, Roos, for having me, for inviting me once again, and bye you guys.
Hey, this is Brian from Hanging Houseplants on Instagram and TikTok, and very rarely on YouTube. Roos asked me to give some information on my favorite Anthurium and maybe some tips that I'd like to share. So my favorite Anthurium, I was going to say, are the ones you get from friends and be very sentimental. But the fact of the matter is, if you follow me, I post my Xeratimes Michelle every time there's a leaf emerging because I love the purple leaf so much. So I'm not going to lie to you, it's my favorite Anthurium. You know, this particular specimen holds the color in the veins for a long time, and especially with like the red, like emergent Anthuriums, like that color seems to disappear really quickly. Here's an example with like a red crystallinum that does that. But with this plant, it holds the color for a really long time, and I think that's what makes it so special to me. In terms of tips, I think humidity seems to be like blamed for a lot of Anthurium issues, and it definitely is important, but it's overstated. You know, when emerging leaf is coming out and you see like some really crinkled edges, or you see like blisters or holes basically forming, people will say it's a humidity issue, but in my experience, it always comes down to if the substrate is staying hydrated enough. Especially when a leaf is forming, if that soil or whatever you're using as a substrate dries out too much, you're going to see issues with that leaf. And I think that's something that you can never overstate, is that when new leaves are emerging, you need to make sure that that plant has enough water. So that's my best tip, and thanks for including me.
Hi everyone, my name is Kanisha, also known as Nisha's Plants on Instagram and YouTube. Rose, thank you for having me join this video, because who doesn't love Anthuriums? So I'm gonna get straight into showing you my favorite. This little beauty right here is my favorite Anthurium, and I think you can see why. I've wanted this plant since like years, since I got into plants. I never actually really thought I would get one. And for those of you that don't know, this is a red crystallinum. As you can see, you've got the red sinus, which is absolutely beautiful, and that runs down the core veins of the plant. And then you can see the little shimmer, like look at that, like little, literally like little crystals. It's beautiful. Now, I've had this plant for probably about a month and a bit now. The initial leaf that I got, you can see, is here. It is a lot darker, but you still got that red vein and the red sinus. And the other leaves, as it's adapted to my environment, they've kind of died off. But this is the first leaf in my care, which I'm actually super proud of. I'll take it out just so you can see it fully. But that's what it looks like. And look at the back. Tell me that's not amazing. Oh, look how strong those colors are. But it will grow to be quite big. Most of you know what crystallinums look like. I'll throw in some images of what it could be like as it matures, but I do really like the shimmer on this plant, and I'll show you what it looks like in the sunlight as well. I hope you all enjoyed seeing what my favourite Anthurium is. Thank you for your time. Rose, thank you once again for involving me in this video. Really appreciate it. And until next time, I'll see you then. Bye.
Hi guys, this is Sean from Indonesia. My Instagram is @botanist. Thank you, Rose, for having me in this collaboration video. And I'm here at Kartel Daun. Actually, this is my friend's I would say Anthurium studio. I actually have a few Anthuriums in my collection, but they're quite underwhelming, and we have some really good specimens here. So I'm going to share specifically Indonesian hybrids, because I'm here in Indonesia, so you guys can maybe appreciate what's coming out of this market. So here in my hand is the King of Spades. So this was made by Mr. Haji Uli here in Chiapus, which is a city about an hour from where I live. So this is his hybrid, and this is all becoming quite prominent in the market. It's coming in hot. There are a lot of seedlings out there, and I believe there's 2 or 3 generations of these in the seedlings, and they all have different shapes. Some of them are rounder, some of them have more silver, some are more red. But this one in my hand is a very, very interesting specimen. This is F1 here, sorry. F1. This is F1, which means that this is the first generation seedling. And look at the shimmer on the leaves. This is just really, really gorgeous. I did cover this in one of my episodes. Yeah, they can get massive. And again, they're created here in Indonesia. So yeah, if you're looking for a unique hybrid not seen elsewhere, this is one of them. And the next one I'm going to highlight is the Anthurium King Clarinervium. This is actually a self-pollinated, a Clarinervium with Clarinervium that produced a really, really weird seedling that grew into this. So they managed to propagate many, many plants out of that one single, I would say, genetic mutation in the seedling. And now we have this beautiful specimen here. So this is the older one, and then you have a lot of babies here, but there you can see that their forms are quite true to their nature. But yeah, I quite like it. So I guess that's it. That's my recommendations for Anthuriums, and yeah, they happen to just be out of Indonesia. I hope that you can support some of the local growers, and I guess we'll be expecting more hybrids out of here, hopefully in the near future. Thanks for watching.
Hi everybody, my name is Mark Lashmar. I'm also known on Instagram as your.babylon, and I'm on YouTube as Your Babylon Plants, and I'm based in the UK. So I'm going to show you the two favourite Anthurium that are in my collection. If I did have access to another place, I could show you another one that is one of my favourites, but I don't. So I'm going to show you the two that I have in my collection today. So let's get on with it. And the first Anthurium I'm going to show you is actually my most favourite Anthurium out of all of the ones I've got in my collection. It's my Anthurium crystallinum silver. At least that's what it was sold to me as. You never know these days with all the hybrids and things that are about. So I'm not really sure about its heritage, but it is my favourite. I love the super dark foliage, the really fat silver lines that are on it, and I've grown it from a tiny little plant, and it will be my favourite always. And the second favourite in my collection right now is this Veitchii here. Just look at that. I wanted a narrower form Veitchii for quite some time. I've got some other ones that have got sort of fatter leaves, wider that way, and sort of shorter and stubbier. I think there's some kind of hybrid, so I'm hoping this one's a bit more of a true type. But it's so nice looking. It's a completely different texture to the other Anthuriums that I've got, which are more velvety. This one's more sort of leathery and plasticky, and it just looks really good in the cabinet. This is just another one I'm squeezing in so I can talk about how I look after Anthuriums. So because I'm in the UK and I don't really have the ideal humidity for them, I keep them all in my IKEA greenhouse cabinets. There's, you know, lots of people that do that for the humidity. I can control all their conditions, so the lighting, the heating and the humidity. I don't really spray them with pesticides or anything like that. I use these tiny little baggies which are biological pest control, and the only thing I sort of try and protect them from is thrip damage. Most, if not all, of my Anthuriums are in a mix of moss, cocoa chunks or coir chunks, perlite, bark and charcoal. So I only water them in the morning, and I just keep the moss ever so slightly damp. I try not to let them sit in lots of water for too long. That's how I care for my Anthurium. So that's my favourite two Anthurium in my collection right now. So thank you, Roos, for inviting me into this collaboration.
Hey everyone, it's Darryl from Houseplant Journal. So Roos asked me to show you guys some of my favorite Anthuriums, but to be quite honest, I haven't had them for that long, so I haven't really developed any favorites. But what I can do is show you some time-lapse footage of a few Anthuriums that I own, and you know, maybe Roos, you could just play some kind of cool music to go with it. Yeah, I'll leave that up to you.
Thank you so much, Darryl. That was amazing. Now it's time for me to show you my favorite Anthuriums, and they are all behind me in this terrarium. If you're new to my channel, I built this terrarium. I have a playlist about it if you want to check it out. Let's get a close-up. Here's a little overview of the terrarium. I actually built this for the Anthuriums, and as you can imagine, my queen, Cleo, is definitely one of my favorites. As you can see, she's still floppy, and this new leaf, this is the first leaf that grew in the terrarium, is actually a lot bigger than the previous one, which I'm super excited about. But queens have already been mentioned quite a lot in this video, so I'm not gonna say much more about her except that I love her a lot and show you my other two favorites. And for that we go to the other side of the Anthurium tank, because this one is my Anthurium metallicum. At least I bought it as that. I have since realized that it's probably not that. Here you can see some older leaves. If you're an Anthurium expert and you want to tell me what you think it is, definitely tell me in the comments. I'm very curious. Some people have suggested marmoratum and some other things that I forgot. But this new leaf on it is also still floppy and even bigger than the previous one. Look at this beast of a leaf. It is also really wide, which I didn't expect. So it's become just taking over all of the light. The poor plants on the wall are not getting any light anymore. I love this one because it's so chunky and big. I actually do enjoy the veins that are not so visible. On the actual metallicum, I think the veins are much more crystal-y, like a crystallinum. Here they are just, there's no silvery bits on them, if you know what I mean. It is beautifully velvet as well, which I'm trying to show you. It's a little bit hard, and my mister is going crazy because I have the doors open. It's just incredible, the size of this thing. It might even be too big for the terrarium, I don't know. But if we look at the size of the previous leaves when it was growing in my tent, you can definitely tell that it likes living in the terrarium, so that's great. Behind there is actually my other favorite plant, Anthurium forgeti, which I'm shocked not many more people in this video actually showed you. I love this guy so much. His name is Alfonso, if you don't know. This is the new leaf that came out, as you can see by the color and by the floppiness. It is not yet done growing, and it's beautifully velvet as well. It also has a inflorescence, I forgot the word for a second, that put out pollen. Actually, it's now in the male phase, but I don't really do anything with pollen right now. I'm not making babies like some of these other people who are very experienced with making seeds. I'm just focusing on the leaves for now. On the older leaves, you can see it does have a lot of silver on the veins, and I would actually love a forgeti without that. So a much darker one. But I have to admit, on this new leaf, the veins are less bright, it seems. And I do really love this new leaf. I adore this closed sinus situation that they have. But for sure, I still have on my wish list a forgeti, but with veins like this instead of like the silvery bits. I got this as a tiny plant when it had literally one leaf that was this big. So I'm super excited that it is grown into what it is now. It seems to like living on the wall, even though the light is getting blocked a lot by his big brother. But there's some older leaves that obviously look a little bit sad, and that is part of having Anthuriums. I feel like I try to show this as well, so you know that it's not just all perfect leaves and happy stories. It's just part of having plants that they get some damage on the leaves as well. But those are my two favorite Anthuriums, with of course Queen Cleo as a third. I'm quickly gonna close this door because I feel like a lot of people have mentioned it already. High humidity does definitely help these plants to thrive. But like our Queen of Anthuriums, Ella, who I did ask for this video, but I don't think she's very active on social media and on making videos right now. She says in one of her amazing Anthurium videos that humidity, it helps make it easier, but it's not often the actual problem of the plants. And what I found and what I learned from my friends at Kekieki, who have a plant shop, if you don't know them, they've grown a lot of Anthuriums, and they taught me that if your plant is root bound, to give it a bigger pot quite quickly, because then the leaves will start to grow bigger quicker as well. Of course, you have to be careful with root rot and not having the plant be too moist because of the bigger pots. But in general, I am an underwaterer, a plant ignorer. So for me, this is a great way, and it is part of why my Anthuriums have grown quickly and have grown big leaves. So if you have your Anthuriums in a pot, that's a good tip. Mine are currently in like built-in pots on the terrarium wall, so it doesn't work like that anymore. But I do highly recommend trying to upsize your pots a little bit quicker than you would with other plants. And that's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and check out all the other people in the description, linked like I said in the beginning. And of course, a huge thank you to everyone who participated. Thank you so much for sharing your plants with us. I personally very much enjoyed it, and I hope my viewers did too. I selected a few more videos if you want to watch more planty content. I have several more collab videos, which are always so fun to do, and I will make more this year. So stay tuned for that, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye, friends!